With the global transition that is occurring, we are being called to upgrade the very systems that have led to the devaluation of human life, damaged our planet, and has led to the most unsustainable and unhealthiest of standards for humans in most areas of life. We have to remember that our children are watching us. How we live life, how we respond to change, how we feel, and what we do with those feelings are all being watched. Would you wish your busy, hectic, overwhelmed life on your children? Or do you want something different, healthier for them? If your answer is, I want a life so meaningful, healthy, and vibrant for my children, then sweet soul, that starts with you and me and our friends and our neighbors first. We must model for our children how to create a vibrant life, and we're being called to breathe vibrancy into all parts of life. Today is a call to breathe new vibrancy into our school systems. Quite frankly, for 50 plus years, our school system has drained our kids of the love of learning. With remote schooling, kids sit behind a screen for 7 to 8 hours a day with little to no experiential learning. They have been isolated and left alone to take on the responsibility of their own education. This isn't fair at all to ask of children. With schools going back to session, our kids are moving into an environment of 7 to 8 hours a day in masks, walking in one direction, as isolated as they can be, and limited on their social interactions. This is cruel and unusual punishment of higher agendas on our children. How do we change this? I'd like to offer a possibility of what schools might look like when we consciously choose to create them. As a mother of 2 school-age boys, this is what keeps me up at night. I want to partake in creating this idea. However, as an entrepreneur and consciousness activist, I have a call to offer higher levels of perspective to the global challenges we are facing. I know I do not have the bandwidth to actually create a new model of education, nor do I have the skill set. What I do have is a voice to put out the call and the passion to support those who are called to create this form of education, or something like it. My soul's desire is that some form of this upgraded education model becomes the upgrade the public school system so greatly needs. My hope is, by sharing this high-frequency possibility, it is planted in the firm soil of the physical world. From there, I wish for tender souls, teachers, parents, any individual who resonates with this upgraded idea to run with them, nurture these ideas, harvest them, and birth them into the world. Maybe it already exists in some sort of underground hybrid model, and it's time to introduce it to the mainstream. My belief is that children and their parents are actively looking for alternative models of schooling that supports self-directed learning, community, global connections, experiential learning, and the overall health of our children. I know I am. Let me ask you a question. Why wouldn't we birth so much creativity and soul-inspired movements into the rest of 2020 and 2021 so that we can actually transform the current challenges that have plagued humanity and our planet for a long time? Why would we choose to slump over the line of 2020 to 2021, battered, beaten, and defeated? Our kids are watching us. They are developing their minds, their brains, and their emotional health based on what they are seeing in the world. The outside world is molding how they will live their lives for the rest of their lives, and I'm afraid for them right now. Why would we not choose to model impassioned living for them, soar right over the 2021 line with purpose in our hearts by transforming a major part of their formative years? There is no time to sit back and wait to see what happens. We have to jump into the fire that is burning our kids' futures as violently as fires savagely burn California. Our school system is also savagely burning the passion right out of the teachers that are doing their best to keep our children moving forward. But every day in our own life, I can see the passion of my son's teachers being replaced with the stress from administration pressures, fearful parents, and inattentive kids that don't want to be there. Working in that environment is not healthy for our teachers either, or our administrators. Right here, right now, this is when we choose. Transition is happening in our school systems whether you see it or not. And right now the transition is moving into a lower frequency than it has been. We cannot allow this. Those of us in humanity obsessed with creating these necessary upgrades for our kids must start now in upgrading our school system. Our kids are the generation that is going to continue to evolve what we start now. This is how we set them up for success. By building a really strong foundation set in the intention of the true, highest and best, and in total support of how kids really learn. By living life, not by reading about life from a textbook. How can we expand school systems into an organized, collaborative, and learning environment by actually supporting them in living life and learning along the way? How might this look? Let's paint a picture to start with. We have classes made up of common-age children coming together at a designated time to learn, say, science. These 15 to 20 kids learn science through social style sharing about what is going on in their lives. They converse about their life experience outside of school, how they experienced science in the last day or so, how it presented itself to them, what they learned. They ask questions of each other. The teacher facilitates a conversation about science with the class, and it becomes a social circle with science as the topic. This is the breath of fresh air over the history of a teacher reading from a textbook or lecturing. Whoever said they wanted a lecture anyway? By having facilitated circles of conversation about a subject, imagine the possibilities of skill sets being inherently learned by our children. 1. Awareness. Their homework, quote unquote, homework, becomes being aware of how the subjects show up in their daily lives, making those connections and having their assignment complete the next day by participating in the class discussion. We're learning self-directed learning. Subjects become collaborative educational opportunities. 7th grade science, for example, becomes all the ways 12-year-olds notice science in their daily lives. Inferred connections. Kids are already connecting with each other by listening to their classmates' experiences, finding connections between their lives and others, even if that other student is of a different race or religion. They are finding their personal connection with those they may not regularly take the time to get to know. Experiential learning rather than textbook reading. They experience each subject by living life and being conscious to it. Social growth and communication. They can learn how to use empathetic communication and listening skills and to ask deeper questions for more clarification around the conversation. Expanded perspective of diversity, as all cultures, races, religions will share their personal lives as part of the discussion of what they learned about the subject in their lives. Conscious listening, because the tests are based on how well you listened, not what you can retain. International studies becomes an open, honest, and vulnerable conversation with global students coming together weekly to discuss a topic from their perspective of life. This promotes global diversity. College becomes an opportunity to travel to those international studies students they made a nice relationship with in class. They experience other cultures rather than just study them from the book. And quite frankly, isn't that what college is really about? An experience? Right now, an experience that puts our kids in six-figure debt at age 21, and we expect them to go make a successful career and life in whatever they attempted to study at college. How does this sound okay to continue? This is financial abuse of our children by a system that has zero concern for their overall health, including their financial health, and only one intention: create a bigger gap of inequality of those who can afford to go to college versus those who just can't. This is darkness in action at one of the most horrifying levels. Stunting our children's educational growth for the gains of some is a crime against humanity. It's a crime against our children, period. This all changes by what we do now to transform our school systems. This particular transformation is urgent, as our education system is compromising the mind, body, and soul growth of our kids. It makes me wonder what kind of helpful generation they can be for our planet when we have so easily negated their needs as children. Our hearts are disturbed with kids in cages and those caught in pedophile rings, and I am disturbed with what is being blindly ignored by many. Our public school systems are setting our kids up for failure in many ways. We cannot set up a generation to be successful advocates for change if we set them up for failure in their most pivotal time of human development. I know there are teachers who love their jobs and feel disillusioned at watching their passion for their kids' education dwindle as they navigate jobs that turn them further and further from why they became teachers. We are expecting teachers to teach in a completely different way with almost no training on how to do this. Stop with the teacher bashing and open your minds to the scenario they are walking into. Teaching is about connection, awareness of our kids' needs, and creativity. All that has been stripped away from our teachers, and if your job changed completely on a dime, how would you feel? Overwhelmed? A little frightened? A little angry? That is how many of our teachers are feeling. So let's make space for them to mourn that dwindling of their passion as their public system sucks it out of them day by day. School as we know it is detrimental to our children's health. Period. I have been in this transition as a parent, and I know our school district and teachers have done everything they can to keep this system afloat. However, it is painful to watch and is painful to listen to. I hear the classes. I see the teachers on the screens teaching through the garbled sounds of a face mask. Kids see a small video of a human with a mask on, garbled language, a panel of classmates easily distracted with anything in their environment that feels interesting. How is this nurturing the advancement of their education? Schools are going back into in-school sessions. Let's consider the effects of long-term mask wearing. They have been shown to create adverse effects like psychological deterioration, especially in children. And this is mandated to protect our children? Many resources, data, and research proves masks are not an effective use of prevention for COVID. So why are we requiring this non-productive method in protecting our kids? I implore you to hear this. School has been known to be a drag for 50 plus years, and as a collective, most humans say it sucked and would never go back. And folks, it's gotten worse. It's downright unhealthy. Our kids are in a more compromised space right now in education than ever before. You can no longer say, "Suck it up, kids, life is hard." Adults can barely handle life right now. Kids are going to be the byproduct of what we adults choose right now. They are going to die from this form of schooling and all the adverse side effects that we cannot even identify right now because no generation has ever lived through anything like this. Our kids are the test subjects. We know it's bad. So just choosing to ride this out and see what happens is the new form of child abuse. Not choosing to grow, expand, look for possibilities, create possibilities of a new future is the new crimes against our children. You have a responsibility to create something new within you right now. Teachers, loving souls, humanity, I beg of you, dig deep and ask yourself, how can I create a new experience of school? What are all the ideas I have for schooling? Who are all the people I know? How can I create the idea presented here or something better? With enough of us with an intention to create a schooling hybrid that is coded with all of the necessary skill sets that truly set us up for an inspired creative life, it will be created. Use me as your connector. Reach out to me via social media, email, or at my website, badettemeyer.com. I will assemble these groups inside the Ascension Network and you will go to work on this. I simply serve as the connector here. You and the group of loving souls who hear this call of this idea bring your expertise, skill sets, and creativity to create it. Together, let's ground this idea of a new earth and a new school system and start creating it in the physical world. If you'd like to join me in creating it, comment "I'm in" below and let's have a conversation to see what gifts are ready to be expressed in the world and discuss the possibilities of collaborating with others to be a vital part of this earthly transition and a vital part in evolving school and public school for our children. It's now or never. Thank you for listening to the Ascension Network podcast. This is where you'll find daily energetic upgrades to guide you through the intense, transformational times we are navigating. Each daily message dives deeply into the frequencies of human life and gives new perspectives on how to shift them into higher states of being and higher states of global impact. Get full access to daily upgrades, plus monthly pyramid activations, weekly abundance code upgrades, weekly energy readings, the community, and events, all within the Ascension Network. Join us at VadetteMayer.com. I'm your host, Vadette Mayer, and as a collective, we are ascending into higher frequencies of being to hold space for all of humanity to ascend into the new earth.